Everyone has hopefully, a running sheet in their back pocket.
Kia mau, kia ita, te korea naro, kia pupuri, kia whakamaua, kia tina, tuina, haumie, huie, tai kie. Awesome.
There'll be about 250 people or so. Those people represent a wide range of communities. The one thing they have in common is that we know them all and they support us.
A month and a half of pure mahi, a month and a half of giving up our time, dedicating ourselves to this haka. We're finally here.
The people who aren't in the haka party to be over at the house at 4:15 or even 4 o'clock, ready to bring the taonga from there over.
Ka pai se karanga first, pūtātara, haka. Mean?
Really thanks for all the effort everyone's putting into it. I bought a house out here in Johnsonville in 1985, and as a person committed to community development, got involved in community matters pretty well straight away.
I connected with Challenge for the first time when the initial discussions were being had as to whether they set it up or not, and this was in the presbytery, which is in Johnsonville.
It started in the kitchen of the presbytery with Kitty and Eddie chewing the rag.
Kitty was acutely aware of the huge social gap in society between the people who are privileged and those who are less privileged. And so that's, I think, the core of the dream.
I was a member of a church which seemed to be able to talk about justice and talk about caring, but didn't sort of seem to be able to translate that into action. So with a number of good people in the Johnsonville area, we decided to band together and fill one of the gaps, particularly for young people and the poor.
Eddie Condra came to the Johnsonville parish and was starting to liven things up a wee bit and there were lots of ministries happening.
I was carrying on my work here in the parish, and this was like an added extra, but a kind of inspirational extra. So this was giving a lot of meaning to my own vision.
And so Challenge began being talked about probably late 1987, and 1988 we kicked it off for a year's project, so it was called Challenge 89 originally.
They really worked hard, and they stole one of my youth workers, my best youth worker, Anthony Norris, at the time. He was really working for the Archdiocese as part of the youth team, and it was called Challenge because Anthony said when he heard what Kitty wanted to do, he went, "Oh, that's going to be a challenge."
We started off just here in Johnsonville on top of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Was a one-room office.
Where I was placed. I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to be doing, but I was the office person.
Vicky was there and myself and Kitty, and that was it.
Kitty would be somewhere around the country and would get in touch and say, you need to put a funding application in to the department because we need this much money. And I'd never done a funding application in my life.
We got a grant for my salary, which Kitty the next day went and spent on a van. And that was it. So we had to start work doing something to get some wages. I was brought up in a boys' home. I went there at a very young age and stayed there for quite a long time. And a lot of those boys, didn't have anything after the boys' home. And virtually all of those boys have been in and out of jail and, went down the wrong line. I think I was very lucky that CAFSO Services, which was another form of this, sort of just let me be. I was just like these kids, no different. Didn't really have anywhere, didn't sort of have anyone. I used to be hanging out at CAFSO Services every day I could, and we'd all sit around a table, and I had a place to be.
He was just a rough fella, just to take your bush, and he'd sleep under a tarpaulin kind of thing. He didn't really put up with a lot of Dad's shiz. He was just, straight to the point, cut it out, you mongrel dog, that kind of stuff. But Dad always had that respect for him because they kind of grew up together as well, I guess.
One of my specialties was the campfire at night, and I would just get people sitting around the campfire at night, and you could talk about whatever you wanted to talk about. I never had any qualms. You could say it in whatever words you wanted, and it was incredible what came out around the campfire at night. And people would just sort of look and think, holy crap, is that what happened here, you know? And, you know, we just sort of had it, the flames, and just, if it wasn't raining, it was perfect. If it was raining, we still did it. It's as simple as that, really.
We knew that this new woman was coming up to perhaps be the coordinator, and she was a nun, and we were like, not quite sure we're going to cope with having a nun running us, you know. But Mari was lovely.
I'd been teaching, which was a really ordered, structured, and my lifestyle was ordered and structured. And then I came to challenge, which was chaos, really.
We started the work training program for Challenge.
We did anger management out at Aroha, as well as some counselling.
Did prison programs, and we did a lot of work in court, keeping people out of prison.
There was a youth unit at Remutaka, and we would go there for an hour or two on the Sunday and actually just attempt a human-to-human contact.
We used to get contracts to demolition buildings in Wellington, strip them out, and we'd work all night.
They would come in and take people out and build fences and cut wood and deliver firewood.
And when you're working with sort of youth that are a bit troublesome or whatever, I think the closer you can get to them by working with them, you get the more out of them.
2 days a week I used to go out with the lads supervising. Well, I wasn't much good at that, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the banter between them and how they related and connected. So we chopped wood and sold firewood.
Because it was firewood really that kept us going. People would donate trees to us, and we would go and get this wood from Levin or wherever it was. We heard about it, and the lads would go and pick up the wood and bring it back to Challenge. We had a wood splitter.
And then there was Andy Murray. He was the big chainsaw man. He'd been starting to do some trees down the Harrier Valley, and he went away on holiday, and he said to Eddie, whatever you do not take the boys down there and cut down the trees. Wait till I get back. Eddie must have forgotten, because that's exactly what he did. So they blew all the power in the Harrier Valley. So all the local farmers weren't very happy.
We'd all deliver the wood, pack the wood, and then we'd get that money, and that was enough to sort of tick us over for a bit. It was a busy time, and we had no money. That was the thing, there was no money.
It was exciting but frightening, because I thought we could collapse financially.
And some weeks wages weren't paid. We'd have to say to people, look, we can't pay your wages this week. We can give you some money.
We hardly had anything. Well, we didn't. But at the same time, a lot of Challenge was supported, not just financially, but physically by people, bringing food and supporting what was going on. It was great.
Come on, Billy. Billy, lead the way.
My involvement with Challenge is really through being with Junior Tapuia, who's Kitty McKinley's foster son.
Started with Junior, who's my stepdad, or my dad really. At an early age he was in Ipuni Boys Home.
In the hands of the state, which was social welfare. And that was from the age of 8.
Kitty was a young social worker, and she was due to visit this young man who was in a boys' home, and she looked at his case notes and saw it was his birthday, and she bought him some chocolate bars on the way to visit. And when she got there, she said, "Happy birthday, Junior," and he sort of stopped still in his tracks, and he'd never been given a birthday present.
Throughout his early life, she was always there, despite him being in trouble and whatnot.
Junior was on parole and he needed a place to stay, and so he came and lived at my house, and he worked during the day, and then 2 of his children came and stayed with us. I remember trying to turn the presbytery into a kind of open home, and everybody is welcome, but it just didn't have what it takes until we had Junior and the family and other families come in. Then suddenly people could bring their families.
Wade and Dale are identical twins who'd been part of Catholic Social Services, and they sort of followed Kitty into Challenge, and they'd been street people and gang members.
Dale and Wade, we were brought up together on the streets. We all lived on the streets in Wellington. Like, we were kind of the original street kids that were brought up in Wellington. And the way I say brought up is that we found ways of trying to survive.
We set up carving down in the garage, so often I would drive out to Lower Hutt and get Dale and Wade up or whatever and bring them in, and they would carve. Like, that was carved by those two down in the garage at Challenge, and so was this.
My dad, he's a lone twin. His twin brother was murdered, must have been about 19 years ago.
We were in a pub, you know, everyone having a good old time, and a struggle would happen, and one of my bros brought out a gun, pointed it in the air, and then all these, maybe about half a dozen people started bringing knives out.
When I was 5, I remember him being in a bar fight against a different gang and him getting stabbed.
I got a ring from Dale from Palmerston Hospital to say that Junior was badly injured and that Wade had died. And immediately everyone was mobilised. Like, straight away we went to Palmerston Hospital. Because they were identical, they were one person really. They'd never been separated, even in prison.
Since he lost his brother, he has tried to get his life back on track. And Challenge has helped him do that. Well, they've pretty much helped him since he was maybe 15.
I want to say without Challenge, you know, Dad might have still been in that, and we would have been raised in that still.
The things that a Challenge had done for my family is, to be honest, I don't even know why they did it. But the things that they did, especially my mum, Kitty, you know, she was just there 100% all the time.
And if it wasn't Nan, it would be another Challenge worker. So, you know, the father Ed, Sister Jude, Sister Murray, Andy Murray.
And that's the part of Challenge 2000, is that if they see that, you know, you are stressing or anything, they will jump into the pot with you.
They gave him the strength, gave my mum the strength to just, enough's enough. Get the hell out of that stuff. And yeah, Dad hasn't been in prison since I was 8 or 9, around the time that we moved to Johnsonville.
I'm amazed at the longevity of that connection with Challenge, that he was 13 and that now he's a grandfather to many. I like the way that their family became part of Challenge and all tangled in, yeah, just from a chocolate bar. Yeah.
I'd like to acknowledge Dale Harrison, who helped me with this exterior panel on the carving many moons ago, and he also carved this part as well for Challenge.
We ask you to bless this great carving.
Because I was a teacher, of course, Kitty said, let's have a school. So we started a little school right here in this room, and it was also very challenging.
Sometimes it felt like there were about 100 students. Often there was about 8 or 9, and I managed the college for a year or so. Probably the hardest year of my life.
My role within that school was to try and help keep young people the young people at the school engaged in their schoolwork.
There were tough times, there were tough young people who had suffered a lot at a very young age. This is from 12 to 17.
The day kind of looked like it was pretty much school in the morning, and in the afternoon we'd do various activities.
The school was a pretty unique place where people came together and learnt from each other, where people were safe to come and be themselves.
Basically, what we needed to do was form good relationships with these students.
It was about learning how to be yourself, to behave, to manage, to cope actually with the challenges that were in their lives. Really special school.
I think we had at school for about 10 years. We finished at the end of 2010.
Challenge were here well before I was. They provide us with a full-time social worker, which is absolutely amazing. And she's been here a very long time and works really effectively with our students. Very trusted.
Very fortunate to be able to work in a school that's a low decile but amazing talented kids, students here and whānau who want the best for their students. My role is actually trying to support them through the hard times, but also the role within Challenge is to create opportunities for our young people and whānau.
When students move from that very protected environment of the primary school to suddenly they're in a new environment, it's much bigger, there's over 500 students for the first time. We came to the conclusion we needed a transition space. We needed somewhere with people they could be safe with, that they could connect to. I talked to various groups who are involved with the college and Challenge for the people who just went, yep, that's a vision. We love it.
We've ran camps here, taken some students up to Taupo, to Otaki, to the camps there and stuff, and that's our time away from school, which is, again, another level of, it's pretty awesome to be able to give them the opportunity.
Last year I was like troublemaker in school, and they thought the last resource for me would be Challenge 2000. So they like picked me up and they like sat me down and got me a mentor and all, and helped me get back into school. And then this year it kind of went downhill as well, so they put me in a program called Te Ahi Ka, and it's helped me adjust into my classes again. But I'm in there with Jeff and he helps me with my schoolwork.
In Te Ahi Ka, the students that do come through the door into the classroom, a lot of them, there's issues not just here in school.
It's a program for kids that are like going off the rails.
With the staff, the youth workers at Challenge 2000, we can work around their needs a lot better or closer than maybe just a teacher aide who focuses on the schoolwork.
I like how I can be myself and like be open, and if I need help I can ask and they'll help me in any way they can and support me in everything I do.
The greatest achievement I find is when the students get stronger in terms of their resilience, confidence, when you see their growth, you see them starting to make decisions on their own, positive decisions.
We need a simplified, cut-down experience where there is a key worker for each family. And that's the sort of philosophy Challenge buy into and organise around. And I think we all need to learn from the work that Challenge are doing.
I want to be able to have students leave Porirua College like in a more positive, confident way, that they know who they are, they stand strong in who they are, they know what they want in life, and they can sift through what's good and what's not good.
I wouldn't be the way I am now. I wouldn't be in school. I wouldn't have had all the sport I've had, and I would probably be off with my friends like drinking and smoking drugs and go to parties and everything I was last year. And I wouldn't be in like a healthy environment around people, and I would have been not with my family, probably off the rails doing other things I shouldn't have been done. But I appreciate them very much. They've helped me a lot.
This is with Caritas, which is a Catholic kind of
aid or development organisation, and it's fundraisers for, normally they fundraise for a certain group of people. We get sponsors and we stay in a box overnight, sleeping rough.
We're trying to replicate some of the conditions that people who are less fortunate live in.
Quite cold, but I guess it's fun at the same time, so worth it.
It's hard, but it's a big, it makes you really aware, and it's a big wake-up call to what is actually going on around us, and it's just a chance to stop from our busy day-to-day lives and think about what's going on and how we can do our little bit to help.
One of our programs, which is a year-long program, and it encompasses leadership development of maybe 9 young people who are around about 18. It's called our Challenge Marist Gap Year program.
We do a lot of things around like personal development, also professional development.
I had a really hard year, my leavers year of college, with a lot of transitions and changes and stuff, and I ended up leaving school early to look after my grandfather who was sick, and I didn't really know what to do after. So Kitty kind of made me come along and try it out. She knew that it would be good for me.
I always felt like I wanted to work with people and for people, so that's something that I've always known I wanted to do, and I knew Challenge did that. So I did it like 8 years ago.
I wanted to learn more about what I want to do when I'm older, learn more about myself, what I'm good at, what my strengths are, and where I can work on myself.
The toughest thing for me was, just facing my flaws, and I was just working on them too, so it was good.
We gained our youth work certificate during the year, and outside of that we had placement days where we had different roles in the community. So I had a day helping in a primary school, a day working in an office, and also a time where I mentored a young girl as well.
One of my placements was in Parliament with Rino Tirikatini, pretty much following him around, and yeah, heaps of opportunities came out of it.
It was really good for growth and learning. I learned a lot about myself and what I want to do. I was originally planning on going to Dunedin and studying medicine. I realised that's not where I'm meant to be.
It was just so diverse. The experience was, yeah, amazing.
Without the gap year, I probably wouldn't have a job right now.
I love it. I think it's a great environment.
Oh, it's amazing. Everyone's welcoming, especially at the puffy. I feel like a part of the family.
It's really like a home away from home. I haven't felt homesick at all.
My dream is that nothing in their lives will hold them back, and that, they will become great and strong leaders of our communities in years to come.
I was whāngai away from my biological parents, and my father used to work for Challenge, and Challenge would help him to be able to see me, because obviously he was gang affiliated. So I'd stay with my dad for the school holidays and then go to the Challenge daycare programs during the day. I remember just being able to play and be a kid, because didn't get to do that at home. I stuffed up so many times as a teenager, getting kicked out of schools, stealing, lying, not turning up, being told to come home at a certain time and not coming home, running away, sneaking out, everything, drinking, smoking, and all the rest.
She was an important part of Challenge and had such a difficult upbringing.
Having somewhere to go, so when things were bad with Dad or with my family, I wasn't stuck there. Just having people or someone that won't give up on you, and just, I suppose not being by yourself.
Her life is also tangled into Challenge, and she became such a good friend and still is.
I like working with the kids because I suppose I understand them. I understand what's going on in their houses and how they don't have any control over that, but they're stuck there. And obviously I was lucky enough not to be stuck.
It's like youth relating to youth under minimal supervision.
Initially, those communities were about people coming together and figuring out how they could live together and relate to each other.
It is an attempt to intentionally create community, and that's of benefit and support for everyone involved.
It's a family that sort of wraps around this young person, and you give them and create opportunities.
They've really come a long way since the first couple, which were pretty different, pretty loose, just kind of finding our way really about what it looks like to be a community of young people who were trying to live out the challenge values, and the Maris were a big part of supporting that as well.
4 young lads who stay here, some here all week and some just for the weekend. It's an agreement between Challenge and their families to live here in Wellington, because most of them are from outside of Wellington. To come stay here with us, and we support them going to, the moment it's St. Pat's Town in Silver Stream.
Our aim is always to create a whānau atmosphere and support young people, I guess, to be the best young people that they can be.
It might be first just establishing a relationship with these young people, and then exploring opportunities for, it might be for further education, it might be for employment, it might be working on CVs for which, you know, they need the basic documents like getting their birth certificate. They might be going through the courts, they might have pending charges, but really just being a support person.
You give them the boring things like, you know, food in the pantry and sort of structure, and you've got to do your chores, but then the magic where it's, you know, let's go for a camp away.
Sometimes we have young people on respite, so provide a safe place for a short time so that young people, can just kind of regather themselves.
Ina wako haere I roto I ngā whare I raro I te tuanui o Felice me Hayley, ka ki ai ki au, kore au tō papa, kore au tō mama, ko te kaupapa tino matua, ki te hoki, ki te kaina, ki te tini, I tōku whānau.
How I moved to the youth house was, last year I ran away from the family that I was used to living with. But then I had nowhere else to go, so I rang out one of the teachers from my school to see if she knew if there was anywhere else. What she said was, I can talk to Viv, if that's all right to see, and if Challenge got help. So I was like, yep, sweet as. And then that's when I met Te Pō for the first time.
Kia hau tino a tāhua te rōpua wero roa mano, a tāhua hoki te manaakitana, te āwhina, te aroha, he aroha mutuna kore a hau mō wero roa mano. Mena kaore I hara mai I a wero roa mano ki te awhia au me tōku whānau, kanoho au tētahi atu mea roto e nā kēnge, mea tahi atu, kore au tū ai he ranatahi toa, he ranatahi mana motu hake, ai.
Last year we had the very first member of our youth house finish school. So he went right through from year 9 right through to year 13. So an amazing story for us to Challenge, because it took all of us really.
I live at Burke Street, which is a young adults community. So we've got workers, our students, gap year students. It's a place for us to live in community together.
I've got a roof over my head, got warm clothes, a nice bed to sleep in, food.
They have a whole culture of their own. And you just have to go to a youth house and you realise, yep, I'm 71, belong to another generation. But it's good to see. And they make their own connections and they support each other. And there's a lot of love.
To me, when I was here, I was a parent and a a mentor for this young person, but also other young people that have come through.
The heart of it is whānau and giving everyone a place to belong, giving everyone their family and just their mana, their dignity back.
It's good that Kitty has no square. She doesn't think beyond the square, she just has no square. And that's why I think that's what got me. There's no limits.
We used to run prison programs at Mount Crawford, and she'd get up in front of those men and she would sell them a dream. Someone would have a slouched in the seat or lying on the floor stoned in another room or something. But she would bring life to the room and they would be inspired.
She was my supporter and she was my mentor. She was a mother to me.
You never ever said to Kitty, yes. You tried to hold back because if you maybe even said, maybe I could do that, you were done. It was a given deal. And I used to watch Eddie and he'd just straight away say no. Oh, that's very brave. But he usually ended up doing it.
I thought in my heart and in my head, one day I want to work for that lady. There was something about her craziness, her energy, her just realness that really drew me.
I always keep saying, and Challenge keeps saying, it was Kitty's dream and her drive, but not one person could do it, It takes everybody, all different types. A lot of help from the Maris fathers and from the good sisters as well. A lot of help from the community initially.
We're coming into a great place now, thanks to the Maris and their support. That's almost like a backbone.
To be sitting here in the garage, which is actually bigger than our whole office, in this massive house is quite incredible, really, to think just how far Challenge has come.
The challenge will be trying to keep humble when you're in a massive building. And remember where we've come from and the people we serve.
I could not think of a better purpose for what I consider the fanciest house in all of Johnsonville, potentially North Wellington, than to have this as the home of Challenge 2000.
Confident, bold, positive young people looking forward to a future. This organisation has been part of that for the last 30 years.
At the core of it is a deep respect for the integrity of every person, no matter what they've done, no matter where they are, no matter how they started. That has been what's made Challenge 2000 and its work so effective.
Every person here is a person of immense dignity, and that dignity gives them a responsibility to work for justice and then to be people of love. So that's what's on the flash signs down there. That's what we're about.
I met Kitty and Steve O'Connor together when I was 14, and they were both social workers at Catholic Social Services. And even in those days, they had this vision of this big building where people that are reasonably well off can walk in one door, people that aren't so well off can walk in the other, and this hand will feed that hand, and that's always been the dream of Challenge 2000.
All the years I worked with Challenge, I was a pupil. They were teaching me, I was learning.
The dream that started in that kitchen at the presbytery is still as strong and as vibrant.
We're a very diverse, very passionate bunch of people.
What makes Challenge 2000 a standout organisation is that they respond to our need.
They will always stick with you because that's what Challenge is.
They just show up and they're present and there's this unity and it gives you strength when you're weak.
For me, it's about giving back to those who put their hand up for me at the start and just wanted to make them proud.
Challenges, I think for me, just love in its truest form.
The future is very bright because of all these young people.
When I walk around in the social services that I go to day, I meet people who have
done their apprenticeship at Challenge and they're now changing the world. That's what Challenge does.
I'll now, with real pleasure, declare the Marist Challenge Centre open.